Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Ramya with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds delegation-level talks with Nepalese Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deoba in New Delhi. Both sides inked 4 MOUs on the occasion. India-Nepal passenger train services between Jayanagar in Bihar and Kurtha in Nepal launched jointly by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Nepalese counterpart. RuPay card launched in Nepal by both the leaders virtually. India and Australia sign economic cooperation and trade agreement. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says it will increase resilience of supply chains and contribute to stability of Indo-Pacific region. President Ramnath Kovind holds bilateral talks with his Turkmenistan counterpart Sardar Verdi Muhammadov at Ashgabat. Telugu and Kannada New Year Day Ugadi and Marathi New Year Day Gudi Padwa being celebrated today. Chaitra Navratri festival also begins today. All India Radio News is launching a new weekly interactive program Abhyas for preparation of competitive examinations from today. Public emergency declared in Sri Lanka after hundreds try to storm President's house. Today is World Autism Awareness Day. In IPL cricket, Mumbai Indians to face Rajasthan Royals at Navi Mumbai this afternoon and Gujarat Titans to clash with Delhi Capitals in Pune this evening. The news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi held delegation-level talks with his Nepalese counterpart Sher Bahadur Deoba in New Delhi today. During the talks, both the leaders reviewed the progress in India-Nepal partnership and discussed ways to further their cooperation agenda. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Nepalese Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deoba also jointly launched several projects after the talks. They flagged off 35-kilometer-long cross-border passenger train services between Jayanagar of Bihar and Kurtha in Nepal. Both the leaders also jointly inaugurated Solu Corridor, 132-kilovolt power transmission line and substation in Nepal built under Government of India's line of credit. The two Prime Ministers launched RuPay card in Nepal. After that, 4 MOUs were signed in the presence of both the Prime Ministers. In his address at the joint press conference, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said it is the 5th visit of Mr. Deoba to India as a Prime Minister, who has played a key role in the development of relationship between the two countries. He said such an example of the friendship between these two countries and the mutual relations of our people is not seen anywhere else in the world. Mr. Modi added that both sides also agreed to take benefits of the opportunities available in the power sector.
हम दोनों सहमत हैं कि हमें पावर सेक्टर में सहयोग के अवसरों का पूरा लाभ उठाना चाहिए. हमारा जॉइंट विजन स्टेटमेंट ऑन पावर कॉर्पोरेशन भविष्य में सहयोग का ब्लूप्रिंट साबित होगा. हमने पंचेश्वर परियोजना में तेज गति से आगे बढ़ने के महत्व पर जोर दिया है. ये प्रोजेक्ट इस क्षेत्र के विकास के लिए एक गेम चेंजर सिद्ध होगा. हमने भारतीय कंपनियों द्वारा नेपाल के हाइड्रो पावर डेवलपमेंट योजनाओं में और अधिक भागीदारी के विषय पर भी सहमति व्यक्त की.
The Prime Minister expressed happiness that Nepal has become a member of the International Solar Alliance and this will promote sustainable, affordable and clean energy in our region. Mr. Modi mentioned that he and his Nepalese counterpart also agreed to give priority to trade and cross-border connectivity initiatives in all respects, and the beginning of the Jayanagar-Kurtha rail line is a part of this. He said such schemes would make a great contribution for smooth, hassle-free exchange of people between the two countries. He also said the introduction of RuPay card in Nepal will add a new chapter to our financial connectivity, and the other projects like Nepal Police Academy, integrated checkpost in Nepalganj and Ramayana circuit will also bring the two countries closer. The Indian Prime Minister said that they also stressed on the need to further strengthen the cooperation between the defense and security institutions between the two countries.
भारत और नेपाल के ओपन बॉर्डर्स का अवांछित तत्व द्वारा दुरुपयोग न किया जाए, इस पर भी आज हमने चर्चा की. अपनी डिफेंस और सिक्योरिटी संस्थाओं के बीच गहन सहयोग बनाए रखने पर भी हमने बल दिया. मुझे विश्वास है कि आज की हमारी बातचीत भारत नेपाल संबंधों के भविष्य के लिए महत्वाकांक्षी लक्ष्य निर्धारित करने के लिए कारगर सिद्ध होगी।
In his address, Prime Minister of Nepal, Sher Bahadur Deoba, said they had friendly talks and fruitful discussions on various aspects of India-Nepal relations. He said both sides shared perspectives on further strengthening the friendly ties between the two nations.
India-Australia Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement was signed today. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal and Trade, Tourism and Investment Minister of Australia Dan Tehan signed this agreement. The agreement was signed in a virtual ceremony in the presence of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Prime Minister of Australia, Scott Morrison. Speaking virtually on the occasion, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said the agreement was finalized in a short span of time, which showed that India and Australia share mutual trust. Terming this agreement a watershed moment for the bilateral ties, he said huge potential lies in the economic cooperation between both the nations, and this agreement will provide a platform to utilize those economic opportunities.
इतने कम समय में ऐसे महत्वपूर्ण एग्रीमेंट पर सहमति बनना यह दिखाता है कि दोनों देशों के बीच कितना आपसी विश्वास है। यह हमारे द्विपक्षीय रिश्तों के लिए सचमुच एक वाटरशेड मोमेंट है। हमारी अर्थव्यवस्थाओं के बीच एक दूसरे की आवश्यकताओं को पूरा करने का बहुत पोटेंशियल है। मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि इस एग्रीमेंट से हम इन अवसरों का पूरा लाभ उठा पाएंगे।
The Prime Minister added that this agreement would also strengthen the stability of Indo-Pacific region and supply chain resilience.
इस समझौते के आधार पर हम साथ मिलकर सप्लाई चेन की रेजिलियंस बढ़ाने और इंडो पैसिफिक क्षेत्र की स्टेबिलिटी में भी योगदान कर पाएंगे। ये रिश्ते भारत ऑस्ट्रेलिया मित्रता का महत्वपूर्ण स्तंभ है। यह एग्रीमेंट हमारे बीच स्टूडेंट्स, प्रोफेशनल्स और पर्यटकों का आदान प्रदान आसान बनाएगा, जिससे ये संबंध और मजबूत होंगे।
Prime Minister of Australia, Scott Morrison, said pace and scale of India and Australia cooperation is remarkable. He said signing of this agreement marks a new milestone in the bilateral ties in several areas.
The signing of the Indus Agreement, the Australia-India Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement. This agreement further develops on the promise of our economic relationship, realises it will facilitate cheaper Australian goods to India, wool, horticulture, coal, LNG amongst many others, supporting India's economic growth and development. It will unlock deeper cooperation in critical minerals and rare earths, which I know is an area of increasing importance to India's growing manufacturing sector and a very common topic of our discussions as part of the Quad Leaders Dialogue, which I share with Prime Minister Modi.
Terming this a remarkable day, Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal said there is a huge potential in the area of textiles, information technology and pharmaceuticals among others. He said this multi-phased agreement will take bilateral ties to greater heights. Mr. Goyal said this agreement will facilitate the movement of students, professionals and tourists between the two countries.
I'm grateful that Australia has agreed to resolve a long-pending double taxation agreement arrangement issue which was going on for some time between our IT sector, our Indian IT industry providing high-quality, very valuable services to support the Australian economy. That issue has also been finally resolved between the two countries.
The Commerce and Industry Ministry said growing India-Australia economic and commercial relations contribute to the stability and strength of a rapidly diversifying and deepening relationship between the two countries. The agreement encompassing trade in goods and services is a balanced and equitable trade agreement which will further strengthen the strategic relations between the two countries. Later, in a press conference, Union Minister for Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal said that India-Australia Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement will be symbolic of deep unity, cooperation and friendship between the two trusted partners, friends and allies. He said the signing of the agreement is a historic day for India and Australia relations and is particularly important for India because it is the first agreement with a large developed economy in the last decade. He said it covers the entire gamut of the trade and commercial relations, removing trade barriers and opening a plethora of opportunities in both goods and services.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh today said the third list of defence items will be released in a week's time to encourage domestic sector. He said the government has taken several steps to promote domestic industry and defence sector towards Atmanirbharta, including raising FDI transfer of technology from DRDO. Speaking at the Diamond Jubilee celebrations of Chetak helicopter in Hyderabad, the minister emphasized the need to focus on design, development of 10-ton Indian multi-role helicopter to become a global leader. He said India has shown its strength in the design, development and operation in the 5-ton category. He further said there is need for more than 2,000 helicopters in defence and civilian sectors in the country, which indicates a huge potential in the chopper market. The gross goods and services tax GST collection has touched an all-time high of over 1,42,000 crore rupees in March this year. The Finance Ministry said this breached the earlier record of 1,40,986 crore rupees collected in January this year. The revenues for the month of March 2022 are 15% higher than the GST revenues in the same month last year.
Delhi Chief Minister and Aam Aadmi Party convener Arvind Kejriwal is presently on a 3-day visit to Gujarat. He reached Ahmedabad last evening. Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann also joined AAP leader during the visit. Both the leaders visited Sabarmati Gandhi Ashram in Ahmedabad this morning. The AAP leaders are likely to hold several meetings with party workers and some community leaders apart from holding a road show called Tiranga Yatra in Ahmedabad. According to sources, this visit is aimed to strengthen party organization in the state before assembly elections to be held by December end this year. Over 184 crore 52 lakh vaccine doses have been administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. The Health Ministry said over 18 lakh 38,000 vaccine doses were administered yesterday. The ministry said a total of 1,260 new cases were recorded in the last 24 hours. India's active caseload currently stands at 13,445. The recovery rate is currently at 98.76%. According to the ministry, 83 deaths were reported in the last 24 hours. Sri Lanka has declared a state of emergency a day after hundreds tried to storm the president's house in anger over unprecedented economic crisis. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa issued an extraordinary gazette yesterday declaring a public emergency in the island nation with immediate effect. Public emergency is declared in the interest of public security, the protection of public order, and the maintenance of supplies and services essential to the life of the community as it is expedient, the gazette read. Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan has said he would not resign from office despite losing the majority in the National Assembly. Speaking to a private news channel yesterday, Mr. Khan said the establishment had given him 3 options: no confidence motion, resignation or fresh elections. Pakistan Prime Minister said he will come up with another surprise tomorrow when the National Assembly meets to vote on the no trust motion. Mr. Khan said the opposition would not be able to run the government with the people who have left him, adding that it would be better if early elections are held, reiterating that no confidence motion is a major international conspiracy. He said the letter sent by a foreign country had said that until he is in power, bilateral ties cannot move ahead. The United Nations has announced that it is ending a policy that limited asylum at the US-Mexico border to prevent the spread of COVID-19. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, yesterday said that it has already taken actions to erect tents and take other steps to prepare for an expected influx of migrants. The CDC order said that the virus is no longer cause for turning away migrants seeking asylum in the US. As per the CDC order, the Department of Homeland Security will provide vaccines to the migrants at the border. Last month, CDC officials lifted some of the restrictions, ending the limits for children traveling to the border alone. The decision is expected to attract more migrants to the US-Mexico border. All India Radio News is launching a new weekly interactive program, Abhyas, for competitive examinations from today. It is aimed at enlightening students and job seekers preparing for competitive examinations. The program will be in Hindi and will broadcast every Saturday between 9:30 to 10 p.m. The first episode of Abhyas will be aired at 9:30 p.m. tonight on 100.1 FM Gold, and it will focus on modern history. All India Radio News received overwhelming response for the show from across the country as listeners posted numerous queries. A prominent academician will be responding to the questions. The program has segments like Explainers, Fact File, Examination Calendar, and Questions of the Week. You can access Abhyas on Twitter at AIR News Alerts or on AIR News official YouTube channel and on the News on AIR app. For the next episode on April 9th, students can send in their queries on WhatsApp 928-909-4044 or mail on abhyas.air@gmail.com till April 5th. The subject chosen for the next episode is Indian Polity and Constitution. So, join us at All India Radio News for Abhyas every Saturday at 9:30 p.m. on 100.1 FM Gold. You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds delegation-level talks with Nepalese Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deoba in New Delhi. Both the sides inked 4 MOUs on the occasion. India-Nepal passenger train services between Jayanagar in Bihar and Kortha in Nepal launched jointly by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Nepalese counterpart. RuPay card launched in Nepal by both the leaders virtually. India and Australia sign economic cooperation and trade agreement. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says it will increase resilience of supply chains and contribute to stability of Indo-Pacific region. President Ramnath Kovind holds bilateral talks with his Turkmenistan counterpart Sardar Berdi Mohammadov at Ashgabat. Telugu and Kannada New Year, Ugadi and Marathi New Year, Gudi Padwa are being celebrated today. Chaitra Navratri festival also begins today. All India Radio News is launching a new weekly interactive program Abhyas for preparation of competitive examinations from today. Public emergency declared in Sri Lanka after hundreds tried to storm President's house. Today is World Autism Awareness Day. In IPL cricket, Mumbai Indians to face Rajasthan Royals at Navi Mumbai this afternoon and Gujarat Titans to clash with Delhi Capitals in Pune this evening. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो खुद से वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे।
क्या आप कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम की तैयारी कर रहे हैं? ऑल इंडिया रेडियो के नए प्रोग्राम अभ्यास में हमारे विशेषज्ञ आपके सवालों का देंगे जवाब। शनिवार रात 9:30 बजे FM गोल्ड पर। इस बार का विषय है इंडियन पॉलिटी एंड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। आप इससे जुड़े सवाल व्हाट्सएप करें 9289094044 पर या सवाल ईमेल भी कर सकते हैं abhyas.airnews@gmail.com पर। भारतीय संविधान और राजनीति विषय पर आपके प्रश्न हमें 5 अप्रैल तक मिल जाने चाहिए। आपका अभ्यास हमारा प्रयास।
Welcome back to the Midday News. The Hindu New Year has begun from today. Known as Vikram Samvat or Nav Samvatsar, it was introduced by Emperor Vikramaditya. The New Year Day is celebrated across the country by different names. It is called Ugadi in Telugu and Kannada, in Marathi as Gudi Padwa. It is also called Chaitra Shukladi, Cheti Chand, Navre and Sajipu Cherauba in other states. Falling on the first day of the month of Chaitra, the day also marks the beginning of Chaitra Navratra.
जय अम्बे माँ बोलो, जय दुर्गे माँ बोलो, जय अम्बे माँ बोलो, जय दुर्गे माँ। जय अम्बे माँ बोलो, जय दुर्गे माँ बोलो, जय अम्बे माँ बोलो, जय दुर्गे माँ। तेरे द्वारे जो भी आया।
President Ramnath Kovind, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have greeted the people on the occasion. The President said celebrated in diverse ways across the nation to welcome the spring and the beginning of the Indian New Year. These festivals strengthen the bond of our cultural and social unity. He added, the joyous festivities strengthen the spirit of harmony and fraternity in our society. The Vice President said these festivals mark the beginning of the traditional New Year and bring new hope and happiness in our lives. He said, celebrated across the states in a variety of traditional ways in our country, the festivals reflect our rich cultural diversity and the underlying unity. In a series of tweets, the Prime Minister said festival of worship of Shakti, the Navratri, may infuse new energy in everyone's life. He also wished Happy New Year to citizens, wishing that Vikram Samvat 2017-9 may bring new enthusiasm and new zeal in everyone's life. Giving best wishes on the special occasion of Ugadi, the Prime Minister wished that the coming year is marked with lots of joy, prosperity and all scale a new height of success in the new year. On Navratri, Mr. Modi said, our society may touch a new height of progress. Wishing people on the occasion of Cheti Chand, the Prime Minister said people remember the pious teaching of Lord Jhulelal and seek his blessings for the happiness and well-being of our planet. In Maharashtra, the Marathi New Year Day, Gudi Padwa, is being celebrated with a lot of enthusiasm and happiness today, as all the restrictions have been lifted after 2 years, and this is the first time a festival is being celebrated without any fear of the spread of the pandemic.
And now let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
On the 2nd of April 1870, Pune Sarvajanik Sabha was founded. Pune Sarvajanik Sabha was a socio-political organization which was started with the aim of working as a mediating body between the government and the people of India and to popularize the legal rights of the Indians.
It was formed in 1867 by Mahadev Govind Ranade, Bhavan Rao Srinivas Rao Pant Pratinidhi, Ganesh Vasudev Joshi and S.H. Chiplunker. Other important members of the Sabha included M.M. Kunte, Vishnu M. Bhide, Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Gopal Hari Deshmukh.
The Sarvajanik Sabha was an organization which was representative of the people of the region. So, its first 95 members were elected from among 6,000 people. The members were mostly from the educated middle class of the society and consisted of lawyers, teachers, journalists and government servants. Even though the members were mostly from the upper middle classes, the membership was open to people of all castes and classes.
Sarvajanik Sabha was meant to serve as a link between the government and the people. The organization organized lecture tours and meetings and tried to foster national pride among the people. It also organized relief work during famines.
The Sabha even encouraged Swadeshi and sent its member Ganesh Vasudev Joshi to the Delhi Darbar of 1877 in handspun khadi attire. At the Darbar, Joshi read out a citation demanding Her Majesty to grant to India the same political and social status as is enjoyed by her British subjects.
The Pune Sarvajanik Sabha provided many of the prominent leaders of the national stature to the Indian freedom struggle, including Bal Gangadhar Tilak. It served as one of the pioneer political organizations before the formation of the Indian National Congress in 1885.
Also, on the 2nd of April 1942, Cripp's proposal was rejected by the Congress.
On the 22nd of March 1942, a mission headed by Stafford Cripps was sent to India with constitutional proposals to seek Indian support for the Second World War.
Because of the defeat of Britain in Southeast Asia, the Japanese threat to invade India seemed real now, and Indian support became crucial. There was pressure on Britain from the Allied nations to seek Indian cooperation. Indian nationalists had agreed to support the British on a condition that substantial power was transferred immediately and complete independence would be given after the Second World War.
The main proposals of the cabinet mission were: an Indian Union with the Dominion status would be set up. After the end of the war, a constituent assembly would be convened to frame a new constitution. All members would be Indians.
The British government also put a clause that it would accept the new constitution subject to a condition that any province not willing to join the Union could have a separate constitution and form a separate union.
Muslim League criticized the idea of a single Indian Union. The Congress objected to the offer of Dominion status instead of a provision for complete independence. The nationalist leaders also rejected the idea of rights to provinces to secede, as this went against the principle of national unity. The other groups also objected to the provinces' right to secede.
This breakdown of talks led to the launch of the Quit India movement, which served as the final nail in the coffin of the British Empire in India.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
President Ramnath Kovind today held delegation-level talks with his Turkmenistan counterpart Sardar Berdi Muhammadov in Ashgabat. Several MOUs were signed during the talks. State and prospects of bilateral relations between both the countries were discussed, but the countries also agreed to intensify efforts to further strengthen multifaceted partnership, economic relations and bilateral ties. The Turkmenistan president said the MOU signed between Financial Intelligence Unit of India and Financial Monitoring Service of Turkmenistan would strengthen the framework of economic cooperation between the two countries.
Today is World Autism Awareness Day. The objective of the day is to create awareness about autism and also to encourage people to support those who are suffering from this disorder. This year, the theme is Inclusive Quality Education for All, which marks the global inequalities in education and society faced by people with autism. In IPL cricket, Mumbai Indians will take on Rajasthan Royals at D.Y. Patil Stadium in Navi Mumbai this afternoon, while Gujarat Titans will clash with Delhi Capitals in Maharashtra Cricket Association Stadium in Pune later in the evening. The first match will begin in Navi Mumbai at 3:30 p.m., while the second match of the day will start in Pune at 7:30 p.m. Last night, Kolkata Knight Riders defeated Punjab Kings by 6 wickets at Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai.
Now a quick look at the weather update for the day. National capital Delhi is expected to have a clear sky. Minimum temperature was recorded at 20 degrees. Maximum is expected to be around 38. Mumbai is likely to have a mainly clear sky. Chennai is expected to have a partly cloudy sky. Kolkata is likely to have a partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature was 26 degrees. Maximum will be around 34 degrees. And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds delegation-level talks with Nepalese Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deoba in New Delhi. Both sides inked 4 MOUs on the occasion. India-Nepal passenger train services between Jayanagar in Bihar and Kurta in Nepal launched jointly by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Nepalese counterpart. RuPay card launched in Nepal by both leaders virtually. India and Australia sign economic cooperation and trade agreement. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says it will increase resilience of supply chains and contribute to stability of Indo-Pacific region. President Ramnath Kovind holds bilateral talks with his Turkmenistan counterpart Sardar Berdi Muhammadov at Ashgabat. Telugu and Kannada New Year Day, Ugadi and Marathi New Year Gudi Padwa being celebrated today. Chaitra Navratri festival also begins today. All India Radio News is launching a new weekly interactive program Abhyas for preparation of competitive examinations from today. Public emergency declared in Sri Lanka after hundreds try to storm President's house. Today is World Autism Awareness Day. In IPL cricket, Mumbai Indians to face Rajasthan Royals and Gujarat Titans to clash with Delhi Capitals. And with that we end the midday news.